Good morning, Rotarians and guests. My name is Tom Tobin. I'm the Sergeant of Arms for this illustrious organization, the Rotary Club of Hudson, in our regular Wednesday morning weekly meeting. Today is December 11th, 2024, all day long. And it's a great day. So let's see. What am I starting out with this morning? We're going to start out with an invocation by our good friend Catherine Sines. Catherine, would you join me here? You look great.
Please join me. Dear Father, we thank you for this day you have given us for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance each day, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. And Lord, please help us to remember that this Christmas is the time of forgiveness, love. Amen.
And I'm going to ask my father Bill to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. The four-way test, things we think, say, and do. Number one, number two, number three, number four, beneficial for all concerned.
Okay. There is, Kelly, I think there's something I'm supposed to attend. I've got, all right, so I wanted to, at this time, do birthday and anniversary announcements for our club. So, I know you've all been waiting patiently for this, so let's see. First of all, birthdays, the month of December. This December 7th, Terry Bortnick. December 9th, Allison Feaster. Boy, did she do a wonderful job in some role last weekend. We can't name. December 21st, Ron Strobel. And December 26th, Ginny Frazier. And December 29th, JR. And we have some anniversaries as well in December. Connie Ulray Murkowski. Okay. That's what it was, everyone. None of us recognize the name Ulray. Connie Murkowski, Ulray, December 1st, 2004. So that's 20 years for her. Jim Ahern, he's been the member for 14 years now. David Basil, 15 years. And let's see, Bill Budo, 5 years. And Bill McClure, 5 years. So congratulations to you. And yeah, maybe I should lead us in happy birthday. So if you'll join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right. Let's see. I just want to take, if you'll indulge me for one moment. My wife and I attended the Hudson High School orchestra concert last night with Ed Sogan and Mary and many others, and it was a wonderful event. But I also, so if you missed that, you missed it. But I think it might be on HCTV. I think it was recorded. But you have an opportunity, if you'd like to. Tonight is the choir concert, holiday choir concert, at 7 o'clock, and then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock is the Hudson High School concert band. So it's a all free, wonderful performances. I guarantee, you go to one of these concerts, you will come away proud of what our students are. Ed's grandson is the head of the cellos. He's the principal cellist. Three-year letterman now, or he will be a 3-year letterman, 4-year letterman. You know, you lettered in orchestra. That's kind of a cool thing. So that's at the high school. Now, actually, there are also events at the middle school. Okay, and then I think there's even something at East Woods too. So we have stuff going on all over the place, but I encourage you to consider it attending. I will be there tonight. So I don't believe we have any guests this morning. So we'll dispense with that and then bring the mic over to President. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Oh, thank you. Good morning. Hot in this place? Yeah. Sure. Just a few announcements. Again, I know this is going to sound repetitive, but no meeting on the 25th. If you want to come, feel free, but you may be the only one here. Would somebody on the 24th remind Tom not to come on the 25th? No meeting on the 1st as well. There's no board meeting this month. There is, however, a foundation meeting after this meeting today, the 11th. It's so good. Wanted to say a few words about Scene on the Green on Saturday. I think it went splendidly. Weather was quite nice. Mr. and Mrs. Claus showed up, and I think the kids were quite impressed.
If you have an opportunity to thank Allison and Kent Feaster, Sandy Rexroad, and Jack Belby for their part in performing their duties, they had 3-hour shifts. That is a long time to sit there with a lot of kids, but they did another outstanding job. Kelly and Jay decorating the cabin, and Jay mopping periodically. Where's Jay? Are you in the Navy? You really had that down. Swabbing the decks there. That was outstanding. Our head elves, David Basil and Ron Strobel, did an outstanding job of keeping things moving along and on time. And we had 30 Rotarians help, starting with pickup on Friday and then finishing up with tearing down and taking the stuff back to the scout cabin. We have perfect attendance except for one person, Father Joe Boisel. Now I know he doesn't, preach this type of thing, but in my religion, it is a mortal sin. Yeah, so hopefully he'll do some type of penance. We had approximately 100 families go through. If you get an opportunity and you're visit Hudson's restaurant, it's unbelievably decorated. Please thank them for the hot chocolate. You had hot chocolate picked up at 8:30 and then another batch at 11:30, and it was enjoyed by one and all, along with the candy canes. Liz and Tom Ditto passed out the tickets, and they arrived 7:45, and the line was from the gazebo all the way to Church Street. There was one guy that had, it looked like one of those fishing tents, that had, he was second. It was hilarious, yeah. Again, the people have been around for the joke. I don't think he was out of Hudson's Springs. Yeah, nice shandy. Let's see. Mr. and Mrs. Claus, again, thank everybody for their efforts, and it was another great event for us. This year we had competition from a couple of other groups in town, but we were the only ones, I believe, to have a Mr. and Mrs. Claus. That was a good thing. The other complication that we had was that toward the end of, that last shift, we did have a lull in the action with about an hour where we hadn't passed out tickets. And anybody that was there was treated to a special event. It was Rich Warfield talking to every one of us about his athletic career. Apparently, he was a star football player that ended his career early to concentrate on ice hockey. But we went through every goal that he ever scored. And unfortunately, he had 2 goals, during his career. But anyway, he went from one person to the next until they, found an excuse to walk away from him. But he was relentless, and we certainly enjoyed his exploits. Thanks once again, everybody, for another great event for us and for the community. A lot of kids and families are going to have those pictures forever. Thank you.
He said that, I think everybody would agree, that's one of the more special events we do throughout the year. Like you said, that's an event that just keeps giving. Before we get started, I have a pin that I'm going to have Bill placed on Tom. Tom is now a 2 sapphire two ruby. I keep calling them sapphires. I don't know why. A 2 ruby giver to the foundation, to Internationals Foundation, that essentially helps with polio, helps with a number of national projects, and you don't see too many. That's between you and Tom. There's. Thanks, David. Thank you. Well, Joe, let's introduce you. James? They said you need no introduction whatsoever. So the program today is Father Joe Boisel. He's going to talk to us about his world travels, I think predominantly Africa. So we're pleased to have Father Joe Boisel. Come on, step up here. And the show is yours.
Appreciate that. Oh, Bill, how about that Sogan calling me out right here, right? All I have to say to you, Ed, is revenge is a dish best served cold. So. Yeah, that's right. And the Lord will. Real quick though, on a serious note, I want to, before I even talk about my trip to Kenya, I want to thank you for your condolences. Many of you know there was a tragedy in my family. My wife's brother's son, so my nephew on my wife's side, he was stabbed to death in Springfield, Ohio. And I went back yesterday to officiate the funeral for him. He and his brother had a long kind of troubled history with drugs. And now both of them died before they celebrated their 36th birthday. So it's really sad. And I was there yesterday realizing, just afresh how, we so focus on things like public policy in Washington and people who are in Washington, State House, whatever, what we really should focus on is the spiritual dirt in this country. And it's devastating. It is wiping out families. And so I thank you for your condolences. But yeah, it's a widespread tragedy. He was 35. Yeah. Okay. Let's change it to. Let's be happy. Okay. I did go to Kenya back in August of this year. My fourth trip to Kenya or to Africa. I've been to 5 or 6 countries there, including South Africa, Swaziland, Mozambique, Rwanda, Kenya twice. So a number of countries, and we began a partnership, Holy Trinity in Hudson, with St. Luke's Church in Magoya, Kenya. And I'll tell you this a little bit. It begins with this woman, Irene. Irene is a member of Holy Trinity Church in Hudson, and she was involved in a very difficult marriage, physically abusive one, and so she sought asylum in the United States and was granted it, and moved to Stowe, Ohio. I mean, why not Stowe, Ohio, right? And so she moves to Stowe, but Kenya is part of the British Commonwealth of Nations. It's a long time Anglican country, many Anglicans in Kenya, and so she did what Anglicans do everywhere, find an Anglican church, and so she came to Holy Trinity. After being at Holy Trinity for some time, I mentioned at every Christmas we have a special offering for the Rector's Discretionary Fund. That's a fund that I administer, and it helps to, if I know somebody who has financial need, I can give to them without checking with anybody. Somebody needs a car fixed, they can't afford to do it, I can just pay the repairman. I can do that sort of thing. What's that? Yeah, you. And so Irene heard about this offering and asked if she could give to it. Of course she can. And then she wasn't able to be there, so she sees me later and says, I really wanted to give to that. And I said, oh, anytime, we accept money all the time. But I said, but how about this? If you know a need that I don't know about, give to that. And so she comes back to me a couple weeks later and she said, I have such great news. She said, I was able to give the money that I was going to give you to my family's church so they could buy chairs. I said, oh, that's really great. What do you use the chairs for? She said, well, they meet in an open field, and this allows the older people to sit down while they meet. And I said, wait a minute. You're saying that your parents' church and your family's church meets in a field? She said, yeah, there's a tree, and they put up a canopy for the older people, but yes, they meet in a field. And I am thinking, that won't do, and so we began to have some thinking about that. And I found out more about what's going on there. And it wasn't just the fact they had no walls, no roof to meet under. The water situation there was also perilous. So one of the things I noticed is meeting in an open field is we can't have that. Worship subject to weather, obviously. The rainy seasons, travel to the nearest church building is about 3 miles away, but down a valley, up a hill, it's all a dirt path, so it's extremely treacherous, muddy. It's undoable. So I thought about the way that a building would expand their ability not only to worship, but to do education. Education is not a public service for many. It's private education, mostly in Kenya. So there's really no chance for a lot of people to be educated. And these people happen to be the poorest in a very poor country. And so we were able to get together with a building contractor and draw plans. And they sent me the estimated cost, 11 million Kenyan shillings. I thought, oh my goodness, 11 million? Like, how much is that US dollar? Oh, $80,000. We go, oh, we could probably do $80,000. We can do $11 million. So there was that. The second thing, and probably a more heart-wrenching, probably even, is probably water. Where Irene lives, the people have no access to clean water. There's no well. Nobody has a well. I actually have a well in my home. We have just the expectation that every home has running water. No homes have that expectation, especially in rural areas. So it's women who go to the river and collect water. They go to the river every day, sometimes multiple times in a day. Those are 5-gallon buckets. And what is water? 8 pounds a gallon? Is that right? What is it, Patrick? How much is it? You know, I know you do. What does water weigh? 7 pounds. Okay. Yeah. And so here you have 5 gallons. We put a 5-gallon bucket in the church at Holy Trinity and ask people to pick it up and carry it around. It's heavy. These women are carrying it on their head. They're also going downhill about 100, 150 yards downhill and then turning around and carrying it uphill. Also, river water is not safe for consumption. This past year during the rainy season, cholera and typhoid were widespread throughout Kenya because so many people are drinking water and children are getting sick and they're dying. And so that was really just devastating for us. And also the opportunities for women, because women are the ones going to get water. They're spending so much of their day just retrieving water, bringing it back, boiling it. They have no opportunities for education, for entrepreneurship, for all these sorts of things. So we thought this need is a real need in terms of helping women better their lives. And then something that Irene let me know about that I had no idea. There are predatory men who know that women are the ones who go to get water. So they lay in wait for women to come down there to get this water. And many women are assaulted. Irene told me that she knows many children in her village who were born because their mothers were raped while they went to get water. So when I told Holy Trinity, our parish, about this, people said, "Oh my word, we have to do something." And so on Easter of last year, some people smarter than me put together a sort of fundraising thing. Can we take 2 years, raise $110,000, and put a new building in? What would this do for the life of this parish? And so we asked the people, and they said, "Yeah, let's do that." We've almost, since Easter of this year, we're almost there. We almost raised all of it already. So not a 2-year thing. We're almost there. This is Soban Hydro Systems. Oh, one of the problems here in Kenya is we have a contractor ready to put the well in, and there are people in the permitting offices who are demanding a bribe before they do it. So this is kind of holding stuff up. We'll find ways to, I know people. We'll find a way to take care of this. And so the issue was about 110,000. I said, and when I presented this to Holy Trinity, I asked the people, why us? Why this parish? I think the obvious answer is why not us, right? I think we should always ask ourselves that question. We see the need. We see it. We're aware of it. These are our Anglican sisters and brothers. And there's this passage in John's first letter in the New Testament. If anyone has this world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? That's a rhetorical question. It doesn't. The little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. And so this was my entire presentation for our church. They're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So great. When we were really close to realizing that we were about to raise the money in this calendar year, perhaps even, the people at Holy Trinity said, "We think we need to go and check this place out, see what's going on. Let's get some eyes, feet on the ground." So another fellow from my parish, Dr. Richmond Nettie, who is professor of aeronautics at Kent State University, he and I made some travel arrangements, and off we are heading to Kenya. Boy, I'll tell you, I don't know if you've ever flown to Kenya, but it's a long way. Lots of delays and stuff. The first leg is Cleveland to Chicago, Chicago to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Nairobi. Okay, well then you're only a part there. You got to spend the night in Nairobi, Next day, you get up and fly from Nairobi to Eldoret. And then when you get there, you go board a car and you drive 90 minutes from Eldoret into the very kind of back rural area of Kenya. We were supposed to arrive on Saturday. We arrived on Sunday, a day late. The mass was supposed to start at 10 a.m. and we got there at 11:30. I don't know about your churches. I can tell you about my church. If we were supposed to start at 10 and nobody was there till 11:30, that person would be there alone, right? They were not. Everybody was there. They were all waiting on us. But even before we get there, so I know we're an hour and a half. Get there. Oh, let's get there. No. First come, have some food. What food? We have things to do. I was the preacher, right? I was the celebrant for the mass. So there's a big event going on. But then after that, after some food, and I should tell you this, everywhere that you go, when you're in these sort of circles in Kenya, you have to stop at your speeches. So the leading people will give speeches of gratitude or whatever, right? Or bringing Dr. Boyle, Father Boyle, all these sort of things. And then you have to get up and give a speech. In this case, me, I have to get up and say, "Oh, I thank you." I had no idea. I'm not ready for this. There we go. I got used to it. By the way, this is the last one I was allergic to. There it is. This is the Jumbo jet. I think we paid like $12 to fly from Nairobi to Eldoret. I was seriously worried about this part of it. And here's what it looks like. Let's see. I think the Frankfurt one will be this right here, and then down to Nairobi. And then once you get to Nairobi, like up here, and then this is like Victoria, so we were about right there where the M is in Kisumu. Went to Kisumu too, which was kind of neat. But this was a work trip. This was, 8 days, and it's just constant movement. I, preached probably 8 times, was in all sorts of different churches and settings, so it was constant. This is the first day. These are some children doing traditional African dance and traditional African dress. This kid with a sticker on his head. I brought a bunch of soccer balls, some stickers, and candy. And I deflated the soccer balls and blew them up when I got there. The stickers were a huge hit. The kids stuck them all over their face. I don't think they knew what stickers are for, but they were all wearing these stickers all over themselves, and they were so thrilled. The first Eucharist, people wanted to get baptized, had been wanting to be baptized for months, but they all heard that this guy was the USA, so they all wanted to be baptized by an American. I baptized 29 people. That's probably a quarter of all the people I've ever baptized in my life. And here they all were lined up. It was fantastic. And I thought all the way, like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say when I preach these people? Because I had to do it through an interpreter. And on the plane, it sort of occurred to me. There's a passage in the book of Revelation where St. John says to the church, to one of the churches, church in Smyrna, to the angel of the church of Smyrna, writes, I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. He writes to 7 different churches, skip down a few of them, and he gets to the church of Laodicea. And to the angel of the church of Laodicea writes, I know your works. You are neither hot or cold nor hot, whether you are either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. For you say, I am rich, I prosper, I need nothing, not realizing that you're wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. This is a harsh condemnation of this particular church, right? That they're wealthy, they're rich, they don't need anything. And it's a blessing to this church that's poor, that thinks that it has nothing. It's sort of a reversal. And so that's what I told them. I said to them, we need you. We come here to build a church in a well, but I come with mercenary intent. I'm not giving you something. I'm coming to give something. That we need the power, spirituality of your church. We need your prayers. We need you to partner with us. And we don't simply want a one-time event. We want an ongoing partnership, sister church partnership, where you pray for us and we pray for you. And you help us in our mission in the U.S. because, as my preamble to this talk has said, we desperately need a revival of spiritual life in this country. Well, afterward, we have lunch. When you go to church in Africa, it's a day. It's not an hour and then a coffee hour after. You stay all day. And so, especially if you have guests. We had this meet and greet with all sorts of children and men and women. As I told you earlier, multiple times to the continent, when I go, I usually try to take soccer balls and coloring books and stuff like this for children. And I realized how strange that is to African culture. There are lots of children and they have a very patriarchal culture, spend time with the important men, and then maybe a little moment with the children, and women are really largely ignored. And so I try to reverse that whole thing. I spend time with children, and I go see the women, and last I go see the men, and they don't know what to do with that, but I'm a guest, so what are you gonna do? And so we did this, and while at this open air meeting, right, and I'll show you some photos of it. After church, after lunch, I wanted to walk to the nearest church myself. What's this like? What's it like to walk, 3.5 miles or something like that to the next church? And so we did. We're off on a walk, and spent 90 minutes or so. It's like I say, way downhill and way uphill. I wanted to see what it was like. And I'll show you some photos in a minute. It wouldn't be a different walk. If it was raining hard, you just go home. You don't. So here we are. This is Dr. Nettie from my parish. This is, you met Irene earlier. This is her dad. This is her daughter, Juliet. This is their home. Come have breakfast before you go to church. No, but here we are, kind of all huddled in this home. And then after we spent, an hour in the home, let's have a procession. This is the Sunday school, the children's brigade. And boy, they really love to be part of this brigade. It's an honor. You get uniform and all of that. But notice they led us in procession down there. And since I was the celebrant, the last one in line, way back behind everybody, here we are. This is the front of the church. This is the morning worship. This is a sort of a side view. You can see the canopy. People gathered. They're sort of facing me down the other end. With some gifts to give, and then Holy Communion. It was quite an event here. More photos of the same. Oh, of my 29 baptisms. This is Irene's sister and her children, so I got to baptize them, which was really great. And then the children performed, as I said, traditional African dance with traditional African dress, traditional Kenyan. And here Irene went ahead of us and met us over there. Here you can see, this is river water, boiled, put into a bucket, and people are drinking it. They offered me tea, by the way, to have there, and the tea came from the same water. Now, here's something. These children in very rural Africa had never seen a white person ever. They don't have television. Some a lot of people have smartphones, but children don't. They have a completely different life. They've never seen a white person, and they were really worried if they touched me, my skin might tear. I know I'm clear, but no, it's pretty durable. And then one of the children said something about my hair, and I didn't know it, but one of the people who were there said, they want to touch your hair. I said, well then, wow, it's okay. Yeah, so touch my hair. And then, we played football, lots of football, and they were simply thrilled to be able to do that. This is the field afterward. Everything's kind of packed up and taken away. This is where the church and the well go. Pretty soon we got this gift of land, so we have things lined up for this. This is the walk, part of the trail. You have to go down to walk to the church way up there on the other side. It's also where you go down to get water. Here are some women who were doing laundry as I was making this walk. Some young men went with me. So about, I don't know, 8 or 9 young men, myself, were walking down. So the young men are talking to me. They're telling me about the neighborhood. They're telling me about things, what's going on. And all of a sudden we see these young women who were doing, this young woman and these children who were doing laundry. And I noticed that they were sort of hurriedly getting their stuff together. You know, they heard these voices and they were getting out of it. And I didn't really put it all together until later Irene told me they heard the voice of men and they were frightened. They were leaving quickly to get their stuff out of there. But then they saw me and, you know, with a clerical collar on and said, yeah, well, that guy looks weird. And so they were happy. Some women here, but you can't, it's hard to see in this photo right here, but these are women who were on their way up carrying water as I was heading. This is, you can see the river back here, it really is a stream, and these young men who were taking me to the other church. This is the church on the other side. We stopped and prayed and had a moment there. I also had to go in Anglican world. It's not, it would be really inappropriate to just talk to another church. The very first thing you do is you ask your bishop. I went to Akron, Mark, to be okay if I started a sister partnership with a parish in Akron. Yes, by all means, go ahead, you give my blessing. Then you go to the other bishop, the bishop of the diocese. My Lord Bishop, may I please have your permission and blessing to begin a partnership with a parish in your diocese? And he gives his blessing. Once those two things are accomplished, then you can begin to have a dialogue with another church director, especially in certain things. And so I met with the bishop. This is kind of a strange thing. I found out his name about a year before, and I realized as I was going through the alumni center at Asbury Seminary that he also is an alumni at Asbury Theological Seminary, Wilmore, Kentucky. Wilmore, Kentucky. Here. I talked to him. I was there. How did you come to go to Asbury? He said, I wanted to go to a seminary, so I started looking at them alphabetically. So he and I became good friends, exchanged gifts. My wife told me to wear the shirt, and I forgot. Yeah, he gave me some gifts. Yeah, all these sort of things. He arranged for us to have an office for the contractors to come and talk to us. So we talked to the borehole drillers and building instructors right there. And then he had us tour the diocese office and some work that they're doing. Oh, yes. Right here. See this? These are shuka. This is what these right here, particular shuka, are what the Maasai tribe. You remember this Maasai? They're the guys that do the really high jumping, and they're also lion hunters. These guys are fierce warriors. I too am a fierce warrior. Keep that in mind. It's so good next time you call me out. And so then we met with some families, visited another church, had lunches and speeches like we always do. Had time with other. I became an honorary. Now this shuka right here is a village elder shuka. Notice the stick. You get the stick, and they told me you can keep the stick, which I really wanted to do, but you can see it's way too long for my luggage, and so. They're holding it. I'm going to go back and get it. Visited more churches. We also have other families. When Irene started coming to our church, she had connections with other Kenyan expats who also started coming to Holy Trinity. And so now we have other families that are part of our parish as well. Yeah, so here are a lot of photos where I met with other families from our parish. our connections at different church in Kenya, but as you can see, lots of people came out. Always brought me food, had speeches, left the last speech for me. I was like the Archbishop of Canterbury. You know, who wouldn't believe it? It was just very popular. Yeah. Visited all these other churches in each one of them. At first, I wasn't ready for this. I started getting used to the speeches. But then when we went into a church, they would give speeches, and then as the preamble to the first speech, the person would say, this person will give speeches, and then Father Boisel will give us a sermon. I said, maybe somebody should have told Father Boisel that he was giving a sermon. And so real quickly, grab a Bible and get ready. We toured a tea factory as well. Behind the field where earlier I showed you where they worship, there's a big, there are tea plantations everywhere. And so people grow tea, so what most of them do, there's a factory nearby. And so here, Dr. Nettie and I are at the tea factory. They pick up, purchase the tea in these places around, and that's what people do. We toured the facility, had speeches, of course. Enjoyed tea and biscuits, and then departed for Kisumu. It took us 46 hours just to count the travel time to get from one spot to another. So there's, 40 hours when it ends and 8 days in the middle, and you can see that the schedule was really full as I got there. Some more photos here from the tea factory, and then just one more. One of the things we did before I left was somebody had the idea in our parish, let's make prayer cards. Put it for the Sunday school. So a child, one of the children who goes, and just first name, just put the first name of the child, and the prayer card, and then the things that the children like. They would say, hey, what do you like? Oh, I like Nintendo or whatever, so that's some of the things that he enjoys. And what's your favorite food? And so we made these little cards, and we gave them to the Sunday school children there and said, would you take and pray for this child? And so the Sunday school children were so thrilled, and they wrote notes and sent them back to our children, our Sunday school children. And so here they are all holding up their prayer cards, as they're praying for the children of Holy Trinity Church. Well, that was a tour de force of a very long trip. What questions do we have?
Comment from that? Bill does. All right, well, this question is really from Coach, okay? Since he threw me under the bus and threw you under the bus. He was wondering, what do they think of all Americans being the same size as you?
That's a good point. I told my parish, I felt really bad. These children probably think that all Americans are short and have square heads, but
All right,
there you go.
that was Coach's question. What did you do for the language barrier? Was there an interpreter there, Joe?
There were a lot of people speak English in Kenya. It's required that students learn English, but the English is not really strong. So most of them speak Swahili. Irene speaks perfect Swahili. She also speaks local dialects. She went ahead of us there to be a translator wherever we needed her. So I should just tell you, back up to Irene. I told you she got out of that difficult marriage, sought asylum here. But this woman, I pretend to be a fierce warrior. She is a fierce warrior. She is the most gentle, decent person you'd ever want to meet, but also just strong character. I'm really glad to know her.
Your Father Joe, what was the liturgy like? Is it the same as it is in the Anglican Church here?
It is. It's very similar, but they sometimes jettison it with quite a bit of quick dispatch.
What?
Sometimes they'll just not do it. They'll just do whatever they want to do. The communion liturgy is exactly the same, but the earlier parts sometimes they suspend that.
What is the history of it's a long question. What's the history of the Anglican Church in Kenya?
Well, the history of the Anglican Church in the continent of Africa is the history of the English Empire.
Right.
So everywhere that the English went to form British colonies, they of course took with them the Church of England. So you'll find a really strong churches in places like South Africa, like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. These countries there are more Anglicans in Nigeria than there are in most of England. So, yeah, it's a very strong Anglican communion in Africa.
Joe, I noticed there was food photographed a few times in your presentation. Tell us a little bit about the food.
Well,
Do you remember it? Or
the
were you-
cold hard truth is it's awful.
Is it-
Yeah, but I wanted to like it. I've been there so many times that every attempt, a lot of greens that are like kale, greens, like spinach that are cooked for a long time. Usually crushed up peanuts are added for protein. It's mostly vegetarian. They have a cornmeal. Irene still loves this stuff. She still has it at home. She invited me over. She still serves it. They have a cornmeal that's more like a paste than I live in Kentucky. We know how to do cornmeal in Kentucky, right? You make grits and you make cornbread. Yeah, but theirs is more. It's I don't know. It's a different consistency. Yeah, I think it's an acquired taste. I haven't acquired it yet. Yeah. I work at it. Yeah. They have good beer.
I have two questions. The first one has to do with what I call women, water, food, and forests. And that has to do with the fact that essentially in the Congo, which was Zaire at one time, and in Kenya, or in Kenya as well as Tanzania, which were areas that I've done work. The women did most of the work. They carried the water, they did the laundry, they raised the food gardens, and they protected the forest. What did the men do in that community to make it strong? That was the first question. The second one is a little different.
Oh, you mean you take that one first before you go on the second? Men do work. The men work in the fields. Most of them cultivating and harvesting tea. They are. Well, they have a different culture, and the culture is patriarchal, and so. For me, it's not for me to judge somebody else's culture, what's right or wrong, but it is different approach.
Yeah. And then because it was very different in Tanzania, where the men looked after the cattle, the herds of cattle, the men and the boys did that, and the women did a lot of other things. But my second question is, how did you finally manage to get the well drilled?
Yeah, it's not yet. It's being held up right now. We have the money, obviously, but yeah, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to pay bribes. Instead, we're going to, we're going to put spiritual pressure. These are God's people. He'll take care of them. Yeah.
What are your plans for, how is this well working? Is it generator? Is it solar?
It's a solar powered, so
Okay.
yeah, it'll be solar panel on top of it. And there'll be a large reservoir, so it'll pump water up into the reservoir, then people can, and the whole community, it'll be not just for the parish, it'll be for anybody who lives in that area can come and freely draw water.
And how big is that community?
That's a good question.
Is it like,
Yeah,
like
it's
500 people?
Oh, no, it's probably a few thousand, but it's kind of widespread. Some people have to walk a mile or more to get there. Yeah.
And as far as sustainability of, well, who takes care of it if it breaks?
Well, we'll have to manage to make plans for that. And those contingency plans are at work.
Yeah.
People
It's
always
huge.
know how to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's huge because we can put it in, but we're
Yeah.
remotely from America, it's hard to keep it going.
was amazingly inexpensive. We're talking about like something around $13,000 to
Yeah.
install the entire facility, you know, wow, yeah.
It can change everything there.
Yeah, and it made a huge difference.
Congratulations.
When I told people at the church that we were going to do this, the well, they were more excited, the women were more excited about that than they were about the building. They were for real. You could see it. Yeah.
I'm gonna put on my District 6630 grants chairman hat.
Yeah.
This is a perfect project for a Rotary International project, well part.
Yeah.
So I would suggest maybe we powwow and put in a grant request for this, and maybe we can help get the rest of the money for the well.
Oh, hey, you know what? We never say no money. That's also an spiritual law. Well, hey, thank you all so much for your time and attention. Appreciate it.
I'm always amazed at how much you have when you see photographs like that, where these folks don't necessarily know that they don't have something. But everybody needs to walk away from your talking. And they as well, it's just lost within the. We have a presentation. Lucas, I don't know if you can. And we were gonna do this last week. We had some technical issues. And we're gonna see if we can pull it off today. In just a second.
Ready? Yeah.
those of us that have been here any period of time know each and every one of those individuals. And all of those individuals have made this club what this club is. The contributions that we get from our members is endless. It just keeps going on and it keeps going on. So if you take a moment this season, just take a minute and sort of say your blessings for those that were here and are no longer with us.
You
I think this goes a long way. Salvation Army this week, we wanted to say anything? Oh, fantastic. I don't know if you've ever heard, but you can tap and go. So we're in the 21st century. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Rich, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words about the fall fundraiser. Or you want to talk about those two goals?
Well, there was more than two, but I'll save you guys all the stories. And in reference to the panel, yes, Mike, I do have a lot to say. I heard you. Jim and I chatted yesterday. I had the 2 to 4 o'clock shift. It's funny, if you're just nice to people when they come in or they leave, you say, how you doing? Merry Christmas. They look up at you. They smile. They don't have to give us any money. They just, it was fun doing that. And I ran into like 5 people I haven't seen in years at the store. So it was that just as much a great experience for me as was maybe for them. But what I did notice, they call it the walk of shame, right, Jimmy? When people want to go around you, they go all the way around you and they stick their head down. Maybe they don't even look at you. Then you say, hi, how are you? They perk up. So really, you could be making so much day is my point. As far as the fall fundraiser is concerned, and Joe, thank you for that, especially that one information about the warmth of the water as it passes through. You know, that was great. Hit home. We'll talk later. But we have about less than 5 people left that haven't paid, but I think we're gonna be about $500-600 over our budget, which our budget was $3,000. So Marilyn has a little bit more money. She's a smart cookie. That lady's always thinking. So she said, order 8 more flowers. And I did. And Suzanne got one here. And there's people at the cabinet that bought 4 more. So those things go. They sell as soon as people see them, especially women. But yeah, and then I think we got a couple popcorns left over. So yeah, we're gonna hit our goal. That's all I want to share. Thank you for everybody that participated.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rich. Next week, we have service learning in here with us. And now let's move on to, two kind of things going on here. Rotary, $11 payout, 148 is the pot. Well, Father Joe, you want to do us the honors? Number is 2972. 297. Ah! Next time, Adam. Okay, we're going to do one more drawing. This is Father Joe again. Sorry if I get up, down, up. It's like church. Our head elf. You have these. You are the winner of a Christmas prize. And that number is 2952. 2952. We've got a 52 out there. It's Maryland. Compliments of the head elf. Don't enjoy all those at one time. Okay. Useless, important, but useless facts. This one kind of threw me. How many people in here ever, either for their own children or maybe the grandchildren, did the NORAD lookup on Christmas Eve to see where Santa's at? Okay, that started in 1955. Do you know how it got started? Well, let me tell you. It was a misprint in a newspaper ad for Sears. Sears apparently put a number in the ad, and the number turned out to be for the only Director of Operations for the U.S. Continental Air Defense. And what did they do when they started getting these phone calls in 1955? Colonel Shoup ordered that his staff give the children the updates up through midnight each year from 1955 on. And then they ultimately changed the number because I guess the civil defense changed at some time in the 1960s. But that all happened via a mistake in the newspaper where kids were calling the big guys, but for all intent purposes, they knew where Santa was. So when you're calling NORAD this year or you're looking up on your phone, not that anybody calls it anymore. Well, you could try. Why not? That's all because of Sears, your friends at Sears. And with that, everybody have a wonderful Wednesday, a wonderful holiday. We'll see everybody here next Wednesday.